Shut up and play.
Hello, I'm Jethro.
I'm Lizbeth.
And you're watching Shut Up and Play. But this is actually an episode of Game Chat.
Oh.
Game Chat.
Game Chat.
Game Chat.
What are we chatting about, Jethro?
We're not going to shut up and we're not going to play. Instead, we're going to chat because I received a question, or excuse me, we received a comment on our video on Avalon Hill's, Avalon Hill's Hitler's War. Lizbeth, could you read that comment to us, please?
Sure. What is your opinion of the quality of old games compared to modern ones? I think it's safe to say that the traditional classic board games like Monopoly and Risk are rubbish compared to modern board games that have a far better design and play patterns, a trend that started about 30 years ago with games like Catan and Carcassonne, and 10,000 titles since, growing every year. But these Avalon Hill games are something different. We're not mainstream and hopefully have some qualities that make them still interesting to rediscover. Can you share your opinion on them?
So that was the question I got. And my initial response was going to be, yes, they're great! Exclamation point. Thanks for watching! Double exclamation point. But then I started to think about the question that was asked here. And it was asked about 2 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago, maybe.
3 weeks ago.
So it tells you how long I've been thinking about this question. So,
of course, we had a little bit of life in there, Jeff.
Well, yeah, I know.
So, you know.
Family sometimes gets in the way. But I don't understand why. It's board gaming. They should know better.
At least for us.
Yes. Die in your own time. All right, so where was I? Oh, anyway, so I got thinking about this question a lot, actually. And I think I have an answer, at least one that works for me. So when we talk about games and board games and things like that, some games have been around for centuries. Go is a big one. Chess is another one. Checkers, or I think in England are called draughts or something along those lines. But these games have been around for a long time. Like I said, centuries. So what makes them last as long as they do? And then how does Avalon Hill compare to that? And does it? So I decided to examine chess, because that's a game that's been around a long time, and I'll bet if you put 10 people in a room together, at least 8 of them have played chess, and I'll bet at least 5 of them own chessboards. So, with that in mind, let's start off with chess. Lizbeth, when was chess invented?
Chess was invented in the 17th century CE, with its current form being about 1500 CE.
Wow. That's a long time. And that was great off the top of your head.
Thanks.
Next question. Where did chess come from?
Chess was started in India and made its way to the rest of the world from there.
Wow.
Like on
that's fascinating.
Boats and canoes and caraboos.
I suppose.
You don't know.
I suppose caraboos were used. So chess started in India. It wasn't called chess back then. It's got a name that I don't remember at all at the moment. But it made its way from India to Persia and throughout the rest of the world. On caribous. Yes, on caribou. Yeah, that was the primary way to transport chess pieces around, was caribou. So the question becomes, and then like Lizbeth said, around 1500 CE is when the form of chess we're familiar with now was roughly worked out. So what makes this game last so long? Here's the answer that I think it is. And like I said, I when I read this question, I sat down and in my head wrote about an 8 to 10 page thesis on why. And I figured no one's going to read that.
No, we won't.
So we'll do an 8 to 10 minute video that no one's going to watch. And I thought that would be easier for me. Much easier for me. So, I think what it all boils down to is the way you can play chess. Now, I love a good chessboard. I love a good chess piece. If I had all the money in the world, if I had all the space in the world, I would collect chess sets. I would. But I don't, so I don't.
We collect board games now.
Well, sure.
They take up our room and space.
Yes, they do. But
and money.
You can put them with, plus, but we have cats, so chess sets don't survive cats. But you don't need fancy carved wooden pieces or ivory pieces or beautiful pawns and rooks. You don't need a gorgeous walnut board. You can play chess with all that, and great, but you could do chess on something a dirt outline with some leaves and sticks and stones. I mean, you can play chess with anything. There's actually blind chess. Hey,
Blind
Lisbeth,
chess?
what is blind or blindfold
Blind
chess?
chess. I actually know what blind chess is because he taught me. It is playing chess without seeing the board or touching the pieces.
Yeah, so
I don't get how it works, but that's what he told me it is.
So the grandmasters of chess will sit there and not even look at the board when they're playing because they don't need to. They play chess in their head. And that's why I think chess lasts as long as it does. Because the game is here. It's not on the board. It's not the pieces. You can do whatever. You can use any pieces you want to. When you play chess, you play it up here. You have, like I said, you can do it with your eyes closed. And you're constantly thinking about the moves you're going to make, what this move is, maybe 3 moves down the road. If I do this, then they'll do that. And it's a game of strategy and wit that you play in your head. And the board doesn't matter. It just doesn't. So that's why I think, anyway, chess has lasted as long as it has. It's because you can play it anywhere, and you play it in your head.
It's a strategy game. It's not a luck game.
Right, yeah. It's exactly.
But it's a multi-level strategy game. So, okay. All right.
All right, you with me so far?
Following you so far.
All right, now we're going to make a leap of logic here. We're going to talk about Avalon Hill.
Avalon Hill.
My favorite game company, even though it technically it sort of exists. Hasbro owns it now, and I don't even know if they're honestly producing anything else. But Avalon Hill was the board game company I grew up with when I was a wee one. So, Lisbeth,
Yes.
when was Avalon Hill founded?
Avalon Hill was founded in 1952, and it had a name change in 1958.
Correct.
So did it change to Avalon Hill?
Yes, it did. It was
Okay.
originally, I believe, the Avalon Hill Game Company.
Oh.
But then there was an issue with some other company that was named similarly, so they changed it just to Avalon Hill.
Similar.
It was so similar. So Avalon Hill was invented, and the guy was creating games out of his basement or his garage. And the first game was what, Elizabeth?
The first game was Tactics, which is considered the first commercially successful board war game. Board game, war game. War game, board game. I like that one better.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
So Avalon Hill first came out with Tactics, which, as Elizabeth said, is considered the first commercially successful board war game or war game board game.
So it was before Battleship? Because is Battleship a war game? Sorry. Moving on.
Don't ask questions I don't know answers
apologize.
to. Now,
Sorry.
Battleship's not really a war game. Battleship is really just a guessing game. You're just arbitrarily taking shots in the dark until you find something.
Battleship.
Nothing wrong with Battleship. A fun game. Anyway. Well, I'm going to have to look that up. Just for my own edification. When was Battleship founded? Anyway, the second game Avalon Hill put out was...
Gettysburg. Oh, you know, we have Gettysburg.
I think we own Gettysburg.
I think we own Gettysburg, which is the fist board game based on historical battle.
First.
Sorry.
Want to try that again?
I read what's written. Was the first war board game based on historical battle,
That is correct.
which makes sense.
Yes.
Gettysburg
So,
was based on the Battle of Gettysburg.
yeah, that's why. It's probably why they call it that.
Okay.
It made more sense than calling it Vietnam. So
Battle of Bunker Hill.
that's well, sure that wouldn't have worked either. So Avalon Hill's board game company has its roots in the strategy war games. Now they came out with other games, like the baseball stuff and the stats and things of that nature. But their main focus was the war games, the strategy war games. So that's what I want to talk about. So for me, Avalon Hill, the strategy games are a lot like chess. The game takes place up here. You've got these little tiny squares that you like I referred to stack and attack, and but you're playing the game in your head. You are laying out your plans, your moves, what you're going to do, where you're going to go. I'm going to push here. I'm going to feint here. I'm going to come over and do a run around here, do a pincher movement. All that stuff is taking place in your head, and you're trying to figure out how to get them to do the same thing. How do I pull them out? How do I think I'm going to make? How do I make them think I'm going to attack over there, and then suddenly come over here? And the game is played up here. And the representation on the board is just something to help your opponent know what you're doing. And so I consider the Avalon Hill word game strategy games to be a lot like chess, in that luck's not really there. It's all just you against your opponent in a battle of wits to see who's going to come out on top. And I don't think that kind of game gets old. I think that kind of game is something that lasts for a very, very long time, because when, I understand, I love minis. I got I got 2 Blood Bowl teams. I got 2 Bolt Action armies. I've got way more pirates than I should for Blood and Plunder. And I just got notification that my Port Royal Kickstarter is shipping today, so I'm very excited about that. So, I love my minis. But these games take place in your head. And they got little squares that you put on the board. But that's all you need. Because the game's not there on the ground. The game is not there on the board. So, when I get to ask the question, do they hold up? In my opinion, yeah. It's simply because, like chess, it's just you and your opponent battling it out to see who's going to come out on top. And it's all just, like you said, a battle of wits, and most of the time I show up unarmed. But that's okay. It's still fun. So I hope that answers your question. All this is just my opinion. Your mileage may vary. And as a side note, I still think the best game Avalon Hill ever put out is Kingmaker. And I just discovered that in 2022, a small private game company over in Europe has put out a new version of Kingmaker.
Oh, wow.
So I know what I'm asking for my birthday / Christmas. So, agree, disagree, tell me in the comments. Thank you for watching our first episode of Game Chat.
Game Chat.
Game Chat. Game Chat.
Chat.
On that note, I'm Jethro.
I'm Lisbeth.
Today is a great day to shut up and
Bye.
play.
Shut up and play.